So you're getting disability benefits and you're worried about the fact that your condition may improve, but then you might have a relapse. What does that mean for you? Well, let me tell you about the word improve. Improve is a relative term. Now, if the question is if your condition, let's stop. There are two scenarios that we're looking at. The condition improves to the point where you're able to go back to work, or the condition improved but you're still in bad shape. All right, let's talk about it if your condition improves to the point where you're able to go back to work. All right, if that's the case, we need to ask more questions. One, when we're saying improve to go back to work, what do you mean by that? Meaning, are you able to focus more? Are you able to, is your memory improved? Is your pain level gone down? Is your ability to go stay at work station a longer period of time increased? If we've determined that it's reached that point, then you need to ask yourself, how long has it lasted at that point? Meaning, has it lasted a day, a week, a month, a couple of months? Then finally, you need to ask yourself, is your condition one that it's reasonable to expect for you to have a relapse? So I tell people that it's really dependent upon your scenarios. Every situation is factually different. Most people worry that I'm getting disability benefits. If I've improved, how is that going to happen if there's a good likelihood that my condition may relapse or that it does relapse? Well, in the first scenario, you've got to look at all of those situations first before determining whether or not the period of stability is significant or not. And then let's go to the second scenario. The second scenario is that you've improved, but not to the point where you're able to go back to work. So let's say your pain levels were previously 9 out of 10, now you're 7 out of 10, but you're still in a lot of pain to the point where you can't function. So even though you've improved, you haven't medically improved to the level where you're able to go back to work. So at that particular point, a relapse doesn't necessarily kill you because you're in bad shape to begin with. But most people are going to fall into the first scenario. That's the one that really makes them nervous. But here's the thing you need to ask yourself the question. Here's the thing that you need to know. Let me not ask yourself, but you need to be aware of. Let's say that they determine that your condition improved and they take you off benefits and then it relapse. Well, you got a couple of options. If it's during the appeal process, you keep fighting. But if you've already been denied outright, you just reapply if you're still eligible. Okay? I tell people all the time, Social Security operates in a vacuum in a sense of they don't anticipate you're going to be on disability benefits forever. Now, they're not stupid. They know that there's some conditions that inherently probably will not improve. But at the same instance, the idea is that they believe your condition is going to improve. So they expect at some point in time for you to be better. But they are also smart enough to know that there are certain conditions that may relapse. But now, here's the thing that you need to be aware. Don't get so hung up on the relapse portion. What do I mean by that? Well, let's say that you believe you have a condition that, you have periods of time where you're okay, but then routinely you fall off. Well, if your medical records support that you have those relapses, then you've got documentation to show that your condition is one that goes through those periods of ebbs and flows. But if you're not, if you haven't been in that situation, don't be one of those persons who sits there telling Social Security, oh, don't worry, give about a week or two, I'm going to have a relapse. Your medical records is going to support your position better than your mouth, just to be very blunt. So with this, I tell you this, focus on your health. Focus on your health. Do the best you can. And trust that as long as you provide appropriate documentation, Social Security will be mindful if you have a condition that may cause you to experience periods of stability. Excuse me, I'm getting hooked on phonics. I need something to drink. Likely, not alcohol, of course, water. They're going to be mindful of the fact that you're going to have a condition that may go through periods of stability. And so keep that in the back of your mind as well. If you're applying for disability benefits, or more importantly, that you're getting benefits, sometimes people wonder, do I need to report all of my daily activities? Not necessarily. If you're going through the disability process, Social Security is going to provide you with forms and information that they need you to fill out outlining your daily activities. Now, at some particular point, they may stop doing so during the process. Do you have to call them every week and tell them? No, you don't. At some particular point, you're going to have to go before a judge and explain to them your conditions as well as your daily activities, so you'll do so at that time. But let's go into the disability portion where you're receiving benefits. Do you have to call them on a regular basis? No. Only time this pops up is if you're undergoing a disability review. At that point, they're going to want to know what's going on with your condition in terms of a daily basis. But don't think that there's a daily activity police for Social Security waiting for you to call who's watching you, because that's just not the way it operates.